Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jan Leary, and I want to welcome you to the Truth Zone. We have a really exciting, actually, couple of guests tonight, and Bill Moorehead has gone previously to China and Malaysia. That's the last time we interviewed him. This time he has his granddaughter Joanne with us that he took along with him to an amazing trip. He went to Malaysia, he went to Singapore, and he went to Cambodia. And so they're going to tell us all about it. Now, there was one other granddaughter that he took, Katrina, with him as well. These grandkids are amazing. They're a set of triplets. And so he took the two girls with him. And this is going to be a very interesting program because we're going to find out, actually, from Joanne, too, what it was like to go to these other countries. But Bill, why don't you start off by telling us actually why did you go to these three countries?
Yeah, I went to Malaysia and mainly to do financial classes for our churches over there, and also had the opportunity to do it in Cambodia. Singapore was just kind of a side trip for us to go to see. We just really had a great time. We don't have any churches in Singapore, but we just had a fine time there.
Now, Bill, when you said you went to help the churches with the finances, are you actually teaching them how to do finances for a church? Are you like schooling them in this area? Is it that they don't have a clue, they don't know, or what is that like all about?
Yeah, it's really what I'm doing is I'm helping the people to understand their responsibility of taking care of what God has given them. And one of the things to try to do is to try to teach them how to budget their finances so that they can get the most out of it. And it's basically a biblical teaching. The Bible spends a lot of time teaching about finances and money. In fact, it's probably the one thing that's most mentioned in the Bible. And what I'm trying to do is hopefully some of these people are in a poverty state and trying to give them some help so they can get them out of a poverty state.
That's amazing, Bill, really. I'm sure there's not a lot of people that really care in that particular area to help people out. That's really awesome that you get to do that. Now, when you said the countries, they're poor countries, which one out of the three that you went to would you say was absolutely the poorest and in the greatest need of help?
Yeah, I would say Cambodia is it's probably one of the poorest country, third world country. They don't make a lot of money there in the first place, and but like any other place, they have availability of being able to go to banks. Cambodia is a little bit different. When they go for financing, they go to banks rather than get cards like Visa cards and MasterCards. In fact, they're not even really well accepted in that country. And but what happens is it's like any place else. They need a new motorbike to get around on, and rather than get what they can afford, they have to have all the bells and whistles, and then they end up getting over their head and have a tough time being able to make their payments to the bank. So we kind of like try to get them to understand that, to buy, their basic needs rather than to buy something that they, that's cost them a lot of money that they cannot afford to pay back on.
Now, the three countries that you actually went to and you were taught, teaching them all, this way that you felt about finances and the way that the Bible actually says as well. How did you feel like it was received? Did you feel like they received it sort of like, wow, we want to really put this to use? Did it seem like sort of a hardship, like, oh my goodness, you're taking the good stuff from us and we're going to have just, the regular wheels on the bike, no horn? How do you find, Bill, that they accepted what you had brought them?
One of the first things you have to realize is when you're speaking to these people, they have probably never had anybody come in and do any type of a seminar of this type with them, and they're very, very responsive. I have eye contact with them as I'm speaking to them, and I can really feel that they're receiving, what I'm trying to say. I make myself available for questions, and I do have people after they come over, they'll spend some extra time. And I think one of the best things is that when you get through doing these years, many times I do follow-up, and I have people who have followed some of the things that I've done and telling me even till today how much better off they are financially and how much their well-being is. Because one of the things is when you are in financial trouble all the time, you're always stressed. You're always trying to figure out how am I going to pay the next bill, etc. And, am I going to have any money left to have milk? Am I having money left to, to buy clothes for my kids? And so the goal is to relieve them of this type of stress.
Well, that's really wisdom, Bill. I remember my dad, he taught us like a budget, going by what you brought in every week and to budget it for the certain things that you needed money for. Is this kind of actually what you do?
Actually, I finish up, explain to them how to do a budget, but that's the easy part. The first part is they have to understand, first of all, why they need a budget. And one of the first things I do is I give them a piece of paper with 30 days on it. And because most people have no idea where their money went this month. If you was to go and ask the average person, where did all my money go, with the exception of maybe the rent or the car payment, they probably could not tell you that. So what I have them do, I give them a homework to do for 30 days. They mark down everything they buy. And then what I'm asking them to do at the end of the 30 days is to sit down now and evaluate where you spent your money. And now you got to take a look at what did I buy that I really didn't need. And that money, when I take that, to put it someplace else to help me alleviate some debt or to get something that I really need in the house, etc. But without them knowing where the money's going in the first place, figuring a budget, that's real simple stuff.
Bill, I think I need to do that too. I'm going to follow your advice there. I'm going to keep track of what I do with all that I have for 1 month. I'm going to try that out. But anyway, Bill got to take his granddaughter with him. Oh, that is just awesome. Both actually have his granddaughters, and one of them is with us now, Joanne. So Joanne, why don't you tell us what kind of impressed you about, these three countries? What was it that had really a great impact on you?
Malaysia was an amazing country, and it's very comparable to America, except for the standard of hygiene is much lower. And Singapore was a beautiful, beautiful country, and it was run very well. And I could have gone to those two countries, and I would be kind of disappointed just because the toilets are a little bit different than America. But overall, their standard of living is very high. They're very blessed countries. And I think the country that really impressed me most was Cambodia, because you see the standard of living in this country, and it's very, very low, and the quality of life is very poor, but these people are content with the way that they're living, and they're happy.
Wow, Joanne, that speaks volumes actually to the people over here in the United States, because a lot of the people here aren't content, and a lot of them are depressed, and yet they're so blessed. But to hear about a country that actually is, stricken with poverty like that, it's kind of amazing that you would see that kind of joy come out, out of the people. It's great. Now, tell me, was there ever a chance that you were able to tell any of the people in, say, Cambodia about Jesus and witness to any of the people? Did you get to see or talk to them about it, the Lord?
I probably had the most fun witnessing to people in Malaysia, because it was a very unique experience for me. that country is very Muslim populated, and many of the Muslim men don't really speak to women, but they wouldn't reject me when I tried to talk to them and outreach to them and witness to them. They actually shook my hand, which is Muslim men, they don't touch women. And it was interesting because they would actually listen to what I had to say, whereas if I was actually a Malaysian, they probably would have just ignored me.
And Bill, what about you? Did you get a chance, say, to really talk to anyone over there about Jesus, and how did they react?
This trip, I did not get that opportunity, but it's a very tough place to witness to somebody because, first of all, you should have somebody with you that knows who you're witnessing to. It is, it's against the law, really, to witness to a Muslim. And if you give a flyer to a Muslim, it has to also be stated on the flyer that this is not for Muslims. So it is very difficult. In past years that I've been there, I have went out to witness because I went with the teams from the church, which would keep an eye on me so that I wouldn't get in trouble for what I was trying to do.
So Joanne, tell us, did you actually make any friends with any of the, kids your age, and talk to any of them while you were over there and have a little bit of a lasting relationship?
In Malaysia and Cambodia, we have churches down there that are part of the fellowship, and I had the opportunity to make so many awesome, genuine friends that I still keep in touch with today.
Now, Bill, this was really a very special time for you and your granddaughters. I mean, gosh, a once-in-a-lifetime time. That's how amazing it is. Tell us, how did this affect you? This has to be something amazing for you.
Yes, it was great. The idea of him bringing my granddaughters there, and the fact that they had such a great time meeting other young people there, and I see they had developed relationships. And in fact, I even kind of mentioned to Joanne, what a great honor. You went to 4 different churches and was able to go in and give a testimony, and you was able to do special music for 4 different churches. There's not a lot of people your age that can say that same thing. And I just feel so good that they had the opportunity to do something that's going to be once in a lifetime for them.
Now, I understand that you went to some pretty impressive places over there. Joanne, why don't you tell us a few that really impressed you?
In Malaysia, we went to the Twin Towers, and the view was amazing. They have a lot of agriculture there. That's their really main source of income. And you could see all of the palm trees, which they use to get palm oil, and that was really cool. And I think probably the place that most affected me was we went to Cambodia, and we went to the killing fields where they killed a lot of Cambodians under the rule of Pol Pot and his regime.
And Bill, why don't you tell us, what were some of the notable sites that you saw that actually had a lot of impact?
Well, if we take Malaysia, probably going to the Twin Towers, because they have the walk between the towers, and to be able to see the whole city is just so wonderful. It's beautiful. But I think one of the things that did fascinate me the most is when we went to Cambodia, we did get a chance to go to the King's Palace, and that was such an interesting place. And what also was interesting is the king hardly ever lives there. He spends more time in Beijing than he does in Cambodia. But he has this, it is huge. I don't know how many buildings we ended up going into. And right off the top of my head, I would say we went through at least 6 or 7 buildings that consisted of part of the palace. And another thing that was really interested in, they even have things set up like they have a color of the day. In other words, on Monday, everybody would have to wear white, and anybody who worked there on Tuesday would have to maybe wear blue. And Wednesday, they would maybe have to wear orange or yellow. So every day of the week, you'll see a different color of clothes for the people who, in fact, work there. Very interesting.
I understand, too, Bill, that you took a lot of video footage and pictures, and we're going to take a look at some of this as well. But in summing it up, what would you say the greatest impact was on this trip that just really kind of amazed you?
Well, we might kind of think of this different. I've traveled, in fact, I've probably traveled about 17 different countries in my time, and I've enjoyed every country that I went to and got something out of it. But probably the biggest impact and the thing that was the greatest joy to me is to see my two granddaughters enjoy it.
And how about you, Joanne? What really, was just an incredible impact in your heart on this whole trip?
Living in the U.S. and being in a country so blessed, it's so easy to get caught up in the small things that bring you down in life. And being in Cambodia, you got to see all the sacrifices that these pastors went through to live there and to minister to people. And I think that's what really touched my heart the most.
Okay, so I'm here with Katrina, and Katrina went with her sister Joanne and their grandfather, and the actual first place they went was Cambodia. And Katrina, why don't you explain to us what are these pictures of?
These pictures right here are right by the river. As you can see, the water isn't very clean. People don't usually swim in it, but they do offer boat rides through it.
Yeah, I was noticing that the river was so murky. I wonder if it's like that all year round or if they have a pollution problem. Your sister mentioned that Cambodia was very poor. What do you say about this?
The country is pretty poor, but people make do with what they have. Obviously, they have to. Over there, they're lucky if they can make $120 in a month. However, the prices are still like here. Everything's just as expensive as here.
All right, Katrina, your sister briefly talked about the killing fields. Why don't you explain to us, what is this all about, like some of these pictures that we're looking at right now?
This is the killing fields, and there was a man named Pol Pot in the 1970s. He wanted to bridge the gap between those who were educated and uneducated. Therefore, he murdered those who were educated because he wanted equality among them.
That's scary. So tell us, Katrina, too, what about this church here? I see your grandfather's picture there.
My grandfather went to this church while we were there. This is a part of our fellowship, and he did some financial seminars there and talked to them about how they should be serving God with their finances.
That's really amazing. And your sister sang there as well, huh?
Yes, she did. She also gave her testimony. Not a lot of them know English, but it was still very well received.
Oh, and what is this building all about?
This is at the palace. The king, right now, he doesn't actually stay there. He stays in Beijing, which is actually quite interesting. A king in Cambodia staying in Beijing. He has no political power, but he just has the title.
Ah, sort of like the Queen of England.
Yeah.
Oh, some of these buildings are just incredibly ornate. Is this part of it as well?
Yes, it is.
Oh, now explain to us what this is all about.
Each day, people wear a certain color. The day we went, they were wearing yellow. They all have uniforms and they follow it strictly by each day.
So now what is this a picture of?
That's actually an ice cream place called Swenson's. The woman there served us. We really got to talk to her a lot. She goes all over different countries to go to school. Well, we were actually in the poor part of Cambodia, and this is just a picture of us driving around, what we observed while we were driving, all the different traffic situations.
Seems to be a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Do you find it very busy like this all throughout the city, or?
Oh, yes, for sure. There's not really anywhere that's not busy. This is actually a quite clear video. Usually it's all dusty. There's always dust being kicked up. And when it rains, it actually sometimes can flood. And so then the sewage comes up. So you'll actually be walking through sewage knee deep.
Oh my gosh. Wow, so they don't really have much drainage at all in the city?
No, not at all.
Oh. Now, where are you headed here?
I do believe we were headed to the Russian market, which is where the Vietnamese try to sell stuff to the tourists and stuff. They live here from Vietnam and try to make as much money as they can.
Okay, and so what is this? It looks like headed down a ramp. Where are you headed here?
We were actually driving onto a ferry. We were headed over to a island called Silk Island. It's a place where widows can find jobs and have something to do. They actually manufacture silk all the way from getting silk from the silkworms and using that to make silk scarves and silk skirts to try to make some money.
Yeah, that's what I understand it. It takes an awful lot of silk to make like just even one scarf. That's why silk is so expensive.
Yes, it is. And if you feel the silk here, it's a lot smoother than the silk there, but it's actually because the silk here is not 100% silk. Because 100% silk can't actually be used with machines. They have to hand weave it and everything in order to make it because the fibers are so fine.
Wow, that is incredible. Okay, so you're coming on the ferry here, and how long a ride would you say it was headed over to the island?
I would probably say it was maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And it was very cheap. It cost $1.50 for 6 of us and a vehicle to get there.
Oh my gosh, that is cheap. So in other words, their food is real expensive like over here. But other things like, ferry rides and things like getting around on the vehicles wasn't so bad, huh?
Right. Gas is very expensive though. It's about $4 a liter, that's about a little over a quart here.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad we have better gas prices here.
Yeah, most of them ride scooters because of that.
Oh, I can see that. Did you find this ride scary? Because when I was looking at this video, I'm like, oh, they're backing up. I wonder if that guy is there so you don't fall in the drink.
I was actually so scared. I didn't get out of the car. I stayed in the car while they got out and enjoyed the fresh air.
Oh. Okay, so now you're going over this bridge. This was something so amazing. I can't believe all that they fit on this bridge trying to get over it.
Yeah, that is a bridge. I believe that is actually on Silk Island. We were heading over to the place where they manufacture it. There's actually a lot of farms that do manufacture silk on that island because it's called Silk Island. But the one we particularly went to, there was only one male that actually worked there.
Oh, that's very interesting. And to see a cow, wow.
Yeah, as you can tell, those cows aren't very healthy. A lot of them can't even afford to feed their cows.
Oh, gosh. So next it seems we're in Malaysia here, and that looks like your sister on the telephone.
Yeah, that was actually in the airport.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's quite an impressive building. Now, what is that, Katrina?
Those were twin towers they have there. It's actually the tallest pair of twin towers in the world.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And was this aquarium located in it?
Yes, it was. That was all part of one center for tourists there.
Oh my gosh, that is very amazing. So that's the Twin Towers right there, and they seem to have a little connector.
Yeah, that's a place that people go to view the city from there.
And this is a view, huh?
From there, yes it is. That's actually from the balcony
Oh
we
my
had just seen.
gosh, wow. Now how many stories were you up, did you know?
I think we went to the 86th floor.
Oh my goodness, wow, that is really high.
Yeah, I think that's the highest they let tourists go. There are a few more floors from there.
And is that looking out to the other building?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's really impressive. And what's this a picture of?
After church, these women brought us to a seafood place, and that was just a picture of us after we had just filled our bellies and ate all we could eat.
Oh,
This was actually at Pastor Tan and Juliet's church at another place in Malaysia. We had gone out to eat after service. There was actually only one other girl our age in that church. Everyone else are guys.
Oh, wow. And what is that? Is that the Twin Towers too there?
That is a view of the Twin Towers from a different place. I
Oh,
forget what
that's
it's called,
incredible.
but We were up outside really high as well there too.
Oh, that's amazing. Ooh, that food looks awesome.
These
like-
were pictures they had up on top of the building that we went to. See, that's actually a picture with the dove looking at the building we were in. They were just cool pictures we could take up top there. And that's another picture of Joanne singing at the church.
So where were you here?
We were in Singapore. We had gone to a zoo there and an aquarium. It was really cool to see because you had all these animals from places like the Nile River, places all around the world.
Oh, that's a big stuffed animal. Okay, and what's this?
We were on a river safari, and we had gone around and seen all the places in the zoo. This is actually at Universal Studios there
my
in Singapore.
goodness. Wow, so you stopped off for a little bit there. That's neat.
Those were actually cable cars that we rode in across the city and back. It was really cool. That was something my grandfather really wanted to do.
Well, I want to thank you, Bill and Joanne, for sharing your testimony with us. It's incredible. I hope someday I get to go there too. It sounds like you had an amazing trip. And I want to thank you folks out there for watching The Truth Zone. God bless.